In 1918, the people of Siam had no word for a serial killer. The idea that one person could take a life, hide the evidence, and wait for their next victim was practically unimaginable to the public. That changed on a normal afternoon along the Chao Phraya River. Villagers were out fishing near a local temple when they spotted a large, strange object drifting with the current. It was an old iron chest, the kind wealthy families used to store their most valuable belongings. But when the villagers dragged it onto the bank and pried it open, they found the body of a woman cut into 8 pieces, her remains bound tightly with rope and wrapped in a mosquito net. The killer had packed the box with bricks and heavy wood, intending for the weight to keep the crime submerged at the bottom of the river forever. Against those odds, the container had somehow drifted back to the surface. Local police hit an immediate dead end. They had no missing persons reports that matched the body, and because the victim's face was unrecognizable, they couldn't even put a name to the remains. To break the stalemate, authorities released the specific details of the crime to the public. It worked. A woman soon arrived at the station, identifying the remains as her daughter, Prik, who had vanished shortly after receiving a private letter. That letter had come from a highly respected man in the community. With the victim identified, the police realized they weren't looking for a common thief or a desperate drifter, but a religious figure operating from within one of the city's most sacred spaces. Prik was exactly the kind of person Boonpeng targeted. She was young, wealthy, and troubled, making her the perfect mark for a man who used his handsome features and calm voice to gain the confidence of high society women. Boonpeng's most effective tool was his monastic robe. By ordaining as a monk, he gained a level of social immunity that allowed him to interact with vulnerable people behind closed doors without ever being questioned. His journey to the temple wasn't a spiritual one. Orphaned at 5, he was raised by grandparents who doted on him so heavily that he grew up with a deep resentment for manual labor. To Boonpeng, the monastery wasn't a place of service, it was an escape from work. He spent his time mastering the occult rather than scripture. He specialized in love spells and charms, positioning himself as a mystic who could fix broken marriages or force others to fall in love for a high price. Even after being expelled from his first temple for misconduct with women, his charisma allowed him to relocate to Wat Suthat, one of Bangkok's most prestigious landmarks. He promised the head priest he had reformed, and the temple took him in. He didn't reform, he expanded. For 9 years, Boonpeng used his private quarters to run illegal gambling dens and sell his potions. Because he wore the robes of a monk, his late-night visitors and suspicious activities were largely ignored by the authorities. By 1917, the income from gambling and charms wasn't enough. When a jewelry merchant named Nai Lam visited the temple to sell his stock, Boonpeng and his disciples killed him and stole his entire inventory. They packed the merchant into an iron chest and dumped it in the canal, a successful trial run for the murders that followed. Soon after, Prik tamed to him Siam a love potion to win back her unfaithful husband. Boonpeng used her desperation to start a sexual relationship with her, and within months she was pregnant with his child. Prik demanded he take responsibility, but Boonpeng was already arranging to leave the monkhood to marry another woman. A pregnant mistress was a threat to his new life and his reputation, so he decided to eliminate her. He lured her to his room under the pretense of returning a necklace. As they spoke, he strangled her, dismembered her body, and had his disciples transport her remains 20 kilometers away to be dumped into the river. The investigation eventually led police directly to Boonpeng's own wedding ceremony. On January 14, 1918, he was arrested in front of his guests just as he was about to start his new life. Even in handcuffs, Boonpeng remained completely calm. He eventually confessed to the murders of Nai Lam and Prik, showing a total lack of empathy that stood in chilling contrast to the holy man his followers believed they knew. Boonpeng was sentenced to be the last person in Thai history to face a public beheading. On August 19, 1919, nearly 20,000 people crowded into a temple ground to watch the executioner carry out the sentence. Local accounts claim that when the executioner swung his sword, the blade failed to cut Boonpeng's neck. The executioner noticed the prisoner was silently chanting, supposedly using a black magic protection spell to harden his skin against the steel. Only after the executioner forced Boonpeng to spit out a small Buddha amulet hidden in his mouth did the second swing finally succeed. While he was executed for 2 murders, the true death toll remains unknown. During the trial, witnesses reported seeing 7 other iron chests in his quarters over the years, all of which vanished without explanation. After his death, the fear he inspired didn't disappear, it transformed. Terrified that his spirit would haunt the area, locals built a shrine to appease him, leaving offerings to keep his ghost at peace. To this day, people still visit the shrine of Uncle Boonpeng, seeking luck or protection. It is a physical testament to how easily a predator can use belief and superstition to hide his crimes, and how that same belief can keep his name alive long after the victims have been forgotten.